At the start of this season, I was confident that the Minnesota Timberwolves would once again miss the playoffs. And can you really blame me? Can you really blame me? Besides the Kings, who, let's be real, it's pretty difficult to lose a being a bad franchise contest with the Kings. Besides the Kings, the Timberwolves have consistently for the last 2 decades been the worst franchise in the NBA. They have had completely incompetent ownership and management from top to bottom. The team has been an absolute joke. So why on earth would I think things were gonna turn around this season? Well, I guess the pessimist inside of me has been proven wrong, because right now the Minnesota Timberwolves are the number 7th seed in the Western Conference with a 41-30 record. And considering the gap between them and the 8th seed, the 9th seed, etc., I would be absolutely shocked if they missed the playoffs this year. Yes, they're probably going to have to be in the play-in tournament, but ultimately, considering their opponents are going to either be the Clippers and then the Lakers or the Pelicans, having to lose 2 games in a row against those teams, I'm pretty darn confident the Minnesota Timberwolves can get it done and can make the playoffs this year. Now, am I predicting some kind of deep playoff run for them? No. I'm not about to put any expectations on this team beyond an interesting at best first round series, a 6-game loss to the 1st or the 2nd seed. However, not only has this team made some massive improvements from the time Jimmy Butler left to where they are now, but considering the age and the room to grow for this entire roster, the Timberwolves might actually have a pretty darn bright future in the NBA, and this is the first time you've really been able to say that with confidence since they drafted Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. I mean, the team is looking good right now. Looking at their overall roster, once again, 41-30 this year, which is a pretty solid record. They have the number 6 offense and number 11 defense in the league, giving them the number 8 overall net rating, and their team has just looked really good. Coach Chris Finch has really gotten the players to buy in to defensive hustle, and despite the fact that they don't have necessarily a lot of great defenders on the team, they've got a few of them. Patrick Beverley is a very good one. Anthony Edwards can be solid. Karl Anthony Towns has improved his defense. And they've got guys off the bench. Taurean Prince does a good job. Jared Vanderbilt has been a fantastic defender for them this season. But overall, they don't have anyone who jumps out as some, defensive player of the year level guy. Some all-defense team level guy. Even though Patrick Beverley did make it a few years ago, I think the league is starting to be realistic. He's not quite on that level. But this team plays with some crazy hustle on the defensive end. They really play like a young team. They have energy, they give maximum effort, they're always making the hustle plays, and it makes them really fun to watch, honestly. Even when I see the Sixers playing against them, this team plays with so much effort, which is something that the Sixers tend to not do, and it's very frustrating. It really is difficult to root against the Timberwolves as a fan of basketball, because they just play in a very fun and entertaining way. Karl Anthony Towns is somehow only 26 years old. I really feel like this man has been in the league forever now, but he's only 26. He's still not at the point where most players hit their peaks, and this season he is once again having a phenomenal year. He's averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists with a steal and a block. You can see that his defense has improved from past seasons. He still has his issues, but he has gotten better. It's nice to see. Meanwhile, he is hyper efficient, shooting 53% from the field, 41% from 3 on 5 attempts a game, and 83% from the free throw line on 7 attempts a game. This man is an offensive monster, and you knew that even before he dropped 60 points a few days ago. This is the best shooting big man in NBA history. There are still people trying to say that it's Dirk, and guys, I love Dirk. He's one of my favorite players all time. He is not in the same stratosphere of three-point shooting as Karl Anthony Towns. He's just not. Stop trying to fight against the obvious. In every single aspect, Karl Anthony Towns is better as a three-point shooter. The man just won the three-point contest. He's incredible, okay? Drop it, please. Anyway, a little rant there aside, Karl-Anthony Towns is still the best player on his team, but close on his heels is Anthony Edwards, a man who is still having some efficiency issues. He's still a very inconsistent player, but for someone who is only 20 years old, he is a borderline all-star caliber player. He's giving you 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, with a steal and a block of his own, and while the 43, 35, 78 shooting splits are not great, you see some nights where the man just goes crazy. He's completely unstoppable. He needs to take a few less three-pointers, he needs to get to the rim a little bit better, he has great athleticism, he just needs to make it more, but man, once this dude starts to get it together, once you start to see his best performances, his outlier performances, become the norm, he is going to be a legitimate all-star. And once again, he's only 20 years old. He has a whole lot of time to grow and become a better player. Meanwhile, D'Angelo Russell is the quote-unquote third star on this team. He sure as heck has not looked like it this season. Yes, he's giving you 19 and 7, but he's only shooting 41% from the field and 35% from 3. But this is another dude who we know he's better than this. We know D'Angelo Russell can give you a very efficient 20 points a game, so I'm not too worried about this. He's 25, he's got room to improve, his defense is always going to be a question, but at the end of the day, we know this is a very good three-point shooter, he's a good finisher, he's a decent mid-range shooter, he really kind of does everything as a scorer. He's not truly elite at any aspect, but he's good enough everywhere combined with being a decent playmaker that you know he can be at least a borderline all-star caliber guy and a pretty darn solid third option on this very young team. And when I say this is a very young team, I mean this is a very young team. Very young, like Patrick Beverley is the only player over the age of 30 on the entire roster this season. Yeah, that young. And while Beverley has been a solid and consistent piece for them at the guard position, he plays some nice defense, you know what Patrick Beverley brings, he's not someone who's like going to be crippling to the team as he ages out of the lineup if he even stays with the Timberwolves long term. You know what I'm saying? After him, the second oldest player is Taurean Prince at 27, which is not even very old, and Taurean Prince is just a role player off the bench. He's like the 8th man on this roster. He gives you some solid defense, he hits some shots, but he's not a core piece moving forward either. Then you've got Karl-Anthony Towns, who's 26, D'Angelo Russell, who is 25, and Malik Beasley, who is also 25, and has been pretty decent for this team off the bench this year. He's another inconsistent guy, but he's been hitting his threes very nicely this season, and he's got a good spot in this rotation moving forward. After that, though, holy crap does this team get young. Anthony Edwards, like I said, is only 20 years old. He has nowhere to go but up. Jaden McDaniels is 21, and he has been having a pretty decent season. Jared Vanderbilt is only 22, and while he isn't scoring a lot of points, he is the core of this team's hustle and defensive intensity. I really do believe he could be making a second-team all-defense within the next few seasons. He is a phenomenal defender, and I really like watching him play. Malik Beasley's after that, and then you've got some guys like Naz Reid is 22, Jaden Nowell is 22, Josh Okogie is only 23, alright? There are a lot of very young players who, most of them really aren't doing too much right now. I mean, Jalen Nowell I would like to see get more minutes. I think he's played very well in the ones he's gotten, and he deserves some more time, but like him and Naz Reid specifically, have a lot of room to improve. They're 22 years old. They've got a lot of time to potentially become one of two things. They can become solid role players off the bench, or they can become solid trade pieces to get another real contributing player on this roster, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But if I'm looking at the future of this team for the next few years, I think things are looking pretty darn bright. Now, only time will tell if Anthony Edwards is able to develop enough to make this team a legitimate contender. I am not going to say that I see a championship in this team's future just yet. I think they're going to need to get some decent free agency shinings, or Anthony Edwards is just going to have to to become a legitimate superstar. Those are the only two ways, because at this rate, if Karl Anthony Towns is your best player, and I've been saying this for years, I don't think you can win a championship. He's a very good player, but he is just outside of that superstar tier, and I don't think he can truly lead a team to a title. That's just my opinion. However, the Timberwolves have already done a whole lot of proving me wrong this year, so maybe Karl Anthony Towns will just be the next example in the line of me not knowing what I'm talking about when it comes to this team. No matter what, though, this is going to be a very dangerous team to face in the playoffs for the next several seasons, and maybe throughout the 2020s decade. If they can keep this roster together, this team can keep consistently making, I would say, the second round throughout the later part of this decade. They really are going to be that good and have that much potential. Gotta wait and see if they can make a finals run, get some kind of a championship out of it. I think it's too early to predict anything like that, but who knows? We just gotta wait and see. So, Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm sorry I said that your team was going to suck. Apologies to Timberwolves fans. You guys told me that I was too low on them, and apparently I was. Congratulations, you were right. So I hope this team keeps doing well. It's nice for me to see these underdog franchises finally get their shit together and start to make competent rosters and competent management decisions. So hoping the Timberwolves stay on the right track and they keep being good for the next who knows how long. Thank you all for watching.